Not coming either?
I haven't heard from him, so we'll just start.
Yeah.
So we'll just start with a bit of a review of the homework from last week. So I know Steve will be quick to jump on this, but maybe Joyce, did you encounter a situation this week where you had a confrontation of some kind?
No, I didn't.
Excuse me?
What? No, I didn't. What, school?
No.
Where? Where?
Friday night?
Friday night. What happened Friday night? Where was I Friday night? Tell me.
With Sarah?
Oh. No, it wasn't with Sarah. We were in a meeting with a couple from church, so it was a little bit confrontational, but all around it, like we all stood our. No, that's not a good word. We had boundaries, and we used feedback, and we listened, and we let the other person talk, and we came to a conclusion. So, yeah, it was good.
And so you would say the confrontation went well, like you achieved the goal, or was it unsuccessful?
No, we achieved the goal.
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah.
And Steve, do you have an example you'd like to share?
Our parent came into our unit, and she was speaking names that she shouldn't speak, like names of clients, and somewhat making fun of them. And so I had to confront her, bring her into the office, and gently remind her that she's in a place where we don't speak about staff or other kids because they are dealing with their own issues at the time. So she received it very well, didn't take responsibility for her actions, but she heard me.
Yeah, I had a confrontation last week, and so I knew it was a conversation I wanted to have going into it, and so definitely did that first step of making sure I'd forgiven them in my heart before going into it. And it was hard. Definitely took me a few days to get to that place where I felt like I had, achieved that. And it was really helpful to then have that conversation and be less emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Not that what I was saying wasn't what I wanted to say, but just physically the way I was communicating it was less emotional. And so
that's good.
It was easier to have a discussion around it because it was based on what I was saying and not what was physically happening.
Oh, that's good.
And yeah, I would say the outcome was also good. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, sometimes when the emotional gets in there, it's not good for you, and it's not good for the other person. Like, I feel like they feel like, okay, she's losing it, and now, like, what way is this going to go now, It's good to keep your and this is what I have to practice, is keeping my emotions in check. Because I've told you about a teacher at school, and dealing with her, I really have to try to stay calm, and I do. But when I leave the building, then I come home and give Steve an earful because I wasn't allowed to say to her what I wanted to. So, yeah.
And I'm a good husband to listen.
Yes.
Of course.
Do I want to say other things to correct a problem? Yes. But I've learned to keep it to a minimum.
Yeah. Okay, well, at this point, I think we'll jump into our video. So I'll just begin to share my screen here.
Hello and welcome back.
Thank you.
This session is the session where we talk about how to empower other people. In this culture of honor, we've talked about people being free, people being powerful, and as a result, we have leaders and parents. We have people who are trying to figure out, how do I release this power that God has given to me? How do I release it to those around me so that the very best of them comes to the surface? And I have a couple more of my friends with me here. I have Candace Johnson, who is a member of the senior leadership team at Bethel and co-pastors with Eric at Bethel Church. And Andy Mason, who is author of the book with his wife Janine, co-authored the book Dream Culture, and he's also kind of the pioneer and the one that implements the Heaven and Business conferences that we do, amongst a bunch of other stuff that he does that he's really good at. So these folks are my choice for this conversation because they both do it so well. They both are people who they love to bring out the best in other people. So I'm just going to get right into it. And I think that one of the things that we do in serving our people well is we know them. You know, like, I know who you are. What would you say are some of the most effective methods that you have about learning who your team members are before, during, and after you build a team?
I think, first of all, just having a value for them. Like, my favorite thing is people. So I love people. So I'm always looking. So observation, huge thing. So when whatever we're doing, I'm just observing, taking time to watch people. Reference too, when in relationship, if you're going to talk about, you know, if someone comes up or you experience somebody in a certain way, your reference, I trust you. And if you had a certain experience with somebody, they instantly have that rapport with myself as well. So observation, reference, and then probably shared experiences. It could be an opportunity to interact with them, whether it's could be something small or it could be a large scale event or navigating anything. So my own just personal experience with them.
And you work in an environment where there's just so many strangers. There's just so many people to get to know. How do you sort through that pile of so many people? Basically what you're saying is, I know people who know people, and I get introduced by people that I trust.
Completely. That actually holds a lot for me. And even with my kids, you know, I have 2 daughters, and finding babysitters. Like, you know, sometimes I will have a great babysitter and they move or transition, and then you need to find somebody else, or you're in a tight spot. And it's like, oh gosh, no one that I know is available. What do? I call someone, CJ Leapshire.
Yeah.
Who do you use? You trust them? I trust them because I trust you. I've seen you parent kids, so it transfers. And the same would be pretty true about leadership as well.
Wow. Okay. Great.
I mean, I love that. I guess it depends. What level of team are we talking? Am I talking an advisory team, a student team that are going to be here for a short period of time, or my local team of volunteers? Or my employees. But I'm learning, and I've learned a bunch of the hard way for this, but I'm learning one of the funnest way to find out what people are really like is, Candace mentioned shared experience, but I would just tweak that a little bit by saying a shared experience that takes them beyond their comfort zone. So one of my teams last year, we took them up Castle Crags, which is
You like to scare people.
yeah, scare them. Do something that, with the previous team, we did a Tough Mudder adventure race together, taking those that competed and those that didn't, but in that non-work environment where it's more than a few hours, so you get to see what they're really like. Something overnight, preferably, and something that's uncomfortable, and you find out what they really like.
So you're talking about places where you can have a relationship with people and invest time and life with people. Are there times where you're having to build teams with people that are virtual strangers to you?
Completely. In those situations, I'm always looking for, how do I create a shared experience? Even if it's just a small task or objective that we have to do together, it helps me to get to see how do they interact with other people? How do they do when they have instructions? And then I just go into observation mode. And I'll even set up, when I'm working with volunteers, or community life, I'll set up a night that I call a team building night. And it helps things get started organically. And I'll give them a task, like build this bridge with, these supplies. And I make it challenging. And then I give them objectives, like, and you have to do it as a team. And then we just sit, and it takes 1 evening, 1 hour for them to work together, and then debriefing. And we really get to know each other during that time.
Wow. 1 evening, 1 hour though.
And to get it started.
Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah.
Boom. That's amazing. Okay, so we have people on our team, and we've selected them in, and some of them we know better than others, and this process kind of takes some time. How do you convey to your team members that you trust them to help you build what's so important to you?
I mean, one of the things for me is if I clearly know where I'm going, I can communicate that. So the clearer that I can communicate, this is what success looks like. And obviously I've established that, and then this team has come in, or where we are.
And that's a phrase that you use a lot. This is what success looks like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So just they know, how do we know that we're winning?
Yeah.
But then in that process, I'm making them powerful by involving them in, what do you think? How can we do this? Listening to their ideas, rather than saying, so I have a clear outcome, but the method is totally up to the team that we have. So they're very much owned, involved, and discussing the how do we do this? And then I release them to do. Like, you develop a team that'll do that. And then
So your team members are actually involved in the method that the team uses to achieve. Wow. So how come you don't just tell people what we're doing and how they're going to do it?
because they're smarter than me.
Because you've surrounded yourself with geniuses whose job it is to make you look like a genius.
Yeah. And I think I've learned too is in different styles for different people. So what I've done in some places, I've given too much, as in, hey, I trust you, go for it. And they freak out and I don't get the best out of them. So depending on if I understand their DISC behavioral style or their strength finder, like some of those things, the better that I know that, I'm realizing I need to give some people, I can't just throw them freedom because they're not used to that. Let's take it in little steps and model it and show it and then release them. Whereas I just want to run.
Yeah. Okay. Candace, how do you ignite that message that I trust you in people around you?
You know, Andy touched on it great when he said clarity. And I think when you don't know how I feel about you, already that puts somebody in an odd position. So me just taking time to be clear about how I feel about you, what I'm thinking, what my vision is, what I'm needing from you, clarifying, and with that communicating, taking time to communicate like that. I just don't naturally assume that you know how I feel about you. And so sometimes just saying words, I believe in you. I trust you, therefore I'm inviting you in, and this is my heart, this is my vision, and this is what I'd like you to come help me do. And I think then we're setting them up to get the best of them.
Good. So you're reducing anxiety by affirming that you believe in them, that they're on this team for a reason. I need all of you. I need you to bring your heart to help me build what we're building, and this is what we're building.
Completely. And the this is what we're building is huge. And everyone has different personality types and needs. And some people need more information. Some people don't need very much. They can just come and happen. And so trying to set it up to help everybody be successful, I would probably tend to over communicate, but I try to be really consistent that what you hear here, you're going to hear it again and again, and it's nothing new. Just a clear message.
And I've watched you build team after team after team, and you do just an amazing job. And just in the kind of the rebuild of the church in the last few years, all the teams that have just sprung up, even the leadership team around you guys is such quality. What would you say are some of the key team building elements that you put together that you would train another leader build teams with these key things, what would it be?
The three words that Eric and I have consistently used is clarity, communication, and collaboration. So be really clear on our vision and our heart, what we, how we feel about the people in the room. Communication, making sure that we take time to communicate. It's really busy here in our environment, and you actually have to be intentional to take time, because there is not time just waiting there for you. What do you want to sit around and do? So we're creating space just to talk, just to communicate, which sounds really simple, but it is a really huge core value that we've had to be intentional and just make it happen.
You actually take in time with your team.
I know, it sounds.
I just want everybody to hear that you're actually taking time with your team to create clarity, and then communication and collaboration.
Completely. And when I take time with someone, it shows value. And when I take time to communicate, meaning I talk to you and I listen to you, that means I value you. I mean, I don't even need to say it. I can actually just do it. and people feel valued. And the benefits are we feel connected. It's the perfect place for collaboration to happen. And in most of my scenarios, I generally, as much as people are aimed towards myself as a leader, I try to aim them towards each other. Because the thing that makes me feel the most confident is team. The fact that I have brilliant people around me, it's amazing. And I want them to get the benefits of that as well, to really know each other, to be able to work together.
So talk a little bit about collaboration. What do you mean by that word?
Collaboration is just our ability to work together. So to aim our strength towards each other and not just building individually. And what I'm capable, I have a lot of strengths and gifts, and I could do a decent job by myself, but put me together with somebody else who has different ideas and has different gifts and strengths, and our potential just increases substantially.
You're talking about designing a group to synergize, to multiply and magnify what any individual could ever do.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love being on teams where people are valued and they come to the table knowing they're valued, and then you get the best of them when you have conversations, or you're trying to solve a problem, or you're ideating or talking about vision for the next year. You get a whole, like, what your potential, what you're even capable of is just outstanding.
Endless.
Yeah.
Endless. Andy, what would you say are some of the keys?
I mean, it's the same. I think it's that team. You cannot get away from that time with the team. But I mean, a few weeks ago, can we hang out? It's like, I don't hang out. I hang out with family. I'm not going to just hang out. Everything I do there's an intentional component. So they'd be relational, but it's an intentional relationship. We're moving somewhere. That team moving together, the different components of that, building that authenticity and being real, vulnerable, authentic within the team, those shared experiences, and also the individual one-on-one time with those members of the team. Because I've got people in my team that are very different to one another and don't necessarily, they wouldn't have friendships with one
They
another
would have
outside
chosen each other
Absolutely.
outside of this team.
Absolutely. I see the value because they're different and they haven't yet seen necessarily that level of value.
Value for each other.
Wonderful. Yeah. So we have some one-on-one time to work on some of those things. And part of my building team will be intentionally saying, I want you to spend time with that person outside of this group to build, because you both bring value. And once you see one another's value, this whole team's going to grow.
So anything that you can do to bond the team together around honoring each other, valuing each other, even though we find such stark differences on the same team. But I need a 350-pound lineman, and I need a guy that can run like a gazelle. And they are so completely different, and the function they play are so different. I need them to love each other. Absolutely.
And understand the differences. The greatest, if all I see is what I contribute as the most important thing, then I'm never going to get the best out of these other ones. The one that's quiet sits there, but actually just takes twice as long because they're an internal processor? And do I create time for them to contribute? When they do, everyone thinks, wow,
Where'd that person go?
Yeah.
Speaking of bringing out the best in people, when you serve a leader, what is it that you need most from them to bring out the best in you?
Hands down for them to believe in me.
And what's that look like? How does that behave?
I think first behaving like seeing me. It's hard for me to feel believed in if I don't feel like they even know me. But even the fact that whether it's just with eye contact, whether it's, hey, it's good to see you, how are you? And the how are you, like, that you actually mean it, like I actually give you a time to respond and don't walk off why I'm asking you. So seeing me and then believing in me, looking like even affirmation, telling you, you did a really good job. So you saw me, I spoke, or I closed worship today, or I put on this event, or you're doing such a good job. I believe in you, or I love it when you do this, or just affirming, making comments on how they're experiencing me.
So somebody moving towards you as a leader, like I'm making time for you. I brought value with me to communicate to you on purpose, and I'm paying attention to your strengths, opportunities that you would excel in, and I am setting you up to shine.
Sure. And I know that, a leader probably doesn't have a ton of time to give every single person or leadership at, but so even if it's simple as one, seeing me, eye contact and a touch, and or a comment that they're referring back to something, who I am, or what I'm giving the environment. It could be as simple as a comment. I don't know that it has to be a ton more. It could be more.
You're not high maintenance.
No.
You're not. Cindy, what do you need most from a leader that really sparks the brightest light in you?
Yeah, you did this, Danny.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't be a lid, be a launching pad. Don't be the leader's not my goal. I don't want to be them. I want to go further. And so for them to communicate that end to saying, believe in me more than I believe myself. That being in the context that you've obviously, to get that level of freedom, they've built a measure of trust, commitment, character. Like there's obviously wisdom in that. But to release people, letting them know really clear where we're going, what success is. These are some goals that we want to achieve. But then giving me the absolute freedom of managing that without micromanaging and guessing everything. Okay, let's see how that works. And even if sometimes they can think, I don't think that's going to work, actually trusting me when they feel uncomfortable. And then let's talk about it. Hey, it didn't work. Can I speak into that more next time?
You need freedom. You need freedom and trust.
Absolutely.
Which conveys that they believe in you. We have the same thing, and that is, I need you to believe in me. That's what I just want to live up to that, I want to fill that up.
Yep.
Yeah, very much. All right, well, as we go, just what would you say is just one thing that you would advise leaders to, so that their team members experience feeling honored?
This is going to feel redundant, but because we just talked about it, but it's believing in them.
Yeah,
If
so
that's what I
important.
need, it's
It's
what
so
I can give my team so that they feel that they can be successful.
Yeah.
Is that I see them and I believe in them.
And if they fail at something,
Perfect opportunity to demonstrate the very thing we're talking about. I want them to fail.
they're going to fail. They're going to fail. They're people. They're going to fall short, and I believe in you. I'm right here on the other side, just cheering you on. Thank you guys so much. It's been so good to be with you. We should do this more often. Beautiful.
Definitely.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Okay, welcome back. So the sound wasn't good the whole time, or just part of it?
I found him was hard to understand. I found what's his name, Andy Mason, hard to hear. How about you?
It was fine for me.
Oh, okay.
Because you were hearing it directly.
I guess so. Well, anyways,
But we got the gist
No,
of
we
it.
did get the, yeah.
what was your biggest takeaway from the video? What stood out to you?
What did you say?
What was your biggest takeaway from the video?
Oh. I think strengthening each other on your team, knowing that we all have different gifts, but just encouraging one another and leaning into each other because we're all on the same team for the same purpose. So just strengthening the team that way, I like that.
Just thinking about my team and how much further we need to go to become a team, and how much our leaders are not leading in a way that they should be leading. I'm talking about work.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going, what?
Yeah, yeah, I'd be certain. Well, let me tell you, some of the
Okay.
thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, I really liked what she was saying about communicating how you feel about the person. Because if that's not in place, will they really even hear anything else you have to say?
That's
to
true.
them?
Yeah.
And so I just know of other people in my world right now where they're kind of having friction on their teams where it's like the words out of their mouth is, do you even like me? So it's just, it happens where people are on teams with each other and actually don't know how the other person feels about them and how much conflict that can even cause.
Wow, that's awkward.
Yeah, it is awkward, especially when they're saying it to other people and not to the person in question. But
Yeah.
I think that's all culture today.
Mm.
They like to talk behind people's backs to get approval or to have people on their side to see how they're feeling. So it sort of make their point of view more legitimate.
Whether it's the culture or not, I don't know, whether it's the culture or not, I just think that you need to really look inside yourself and ask yourself why you're doing that. You know, like if it's like turn it around if someone was talking about you, how you would feel, that kind of thing.
What I normally do is say to them, very interesting point. Do you mind if I go to that person and just tell them what you said to me? And if they say no, then you're just gossiping. And I don't need to hear this.
Right.
And you need to go see that person, not me.
Yeah, and it's having those confrontational questions that would actually lead to a stronger relationship.
Yeah.
But then again, what he was saying, that it needs to come from the top down, not down up. And so if our leaders, whether it be in church, whether it be at work, if they're not having that sense of honoring and taking the time to say, hey, you're really a good job, or what you did last week was really good, then we don't see the value, like we don't see our value. And communication is the number one thing within any team. If you don't have that communication, people will often fill in the blanks the way they want to, and it's usually the wrong blank.
Right. Yeah, in a negative connotation often. Yeah, well, in this case specifically, it's more of like a horizontal relationship, but it's true. Yeah, it does need to come from the top down. And being aware as a leader that the people on your team need that from you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I know on my team at work, I'm often the one that giving the people approval. and giving them at the end of the shift, hey, you know, you really did a good job. Or whenever there's a major incident, very seldom do I see a leader come up and say, by the way, how are you feeling after that? Are you okay?
Mhm.
And they just leave it alone. And so we don't feel valued.
Mm.
So we often depend on ourselves and our team members to do that.
Mhm.
But again, it shouldn't be like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's appreciating people is one of the ways that this talks about, as far as showing the primary ways we communicate and demonstrate value to people. So saying, yeah, I believe in you, encouraging people, praising people for what they've done, thanking them, which increases the trust.
Yeah.
The other way they talk about is getting to know people.
Yeah.
Through conversation, as she said, observing them, doing a task, and just watching how different people approach tasks from radically different ways. And then also using like different assessments, you know, how we've been using the Enneagram to kind of get to know people and the way they might lead through that. We've used DISC in the past. So yeah, that can be really helpful. And then trusting people. So giving them responsibilities. He was saying, you know, he lets his team create the method, but he gives the vision.
Yeah.
So that type of collaboration really builds trust amongst the team. So have you, both of you, had an experience on team that's helped you get to know someone really well?
Oh, on team. Does it say that?
No, it doesn't say that.
Oh.
Does it say team?
Describe an experience on team that helped you get to know someone really well.
See, it says describe an experience in your life.
Okay, well, my guide says team.
Okay. Oh boy. Team.
That's funny.
Well, I'm our team.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
Thanks,
talking
Jeremy.
about church. Yeah.
I guess when you're talking to people and that you take the time to hear their story. And within a small team, it's easier to sit down and hear the people's story about what's going on and how they got to where they are today. And just having that eye-to-eye contact, as she was saying, and just affirming them that we'll always have that team building. Joyce?
I'm not on the spot.
It's only you and
gosh.
I. Jeremy chickened out.
Describe an experience on team that helped you get to know. I guess I'm going to say Lori. We have similar things in common. Like, what does it mean? Like getting to know someone, and
yeah, like for example, when I joined team, someone asked me out for coffee pretty much right away, and it was just like, I want to get to know you, and like we'll talk about church a bit, but really like just tell me about you, like what brought you here. And so then that told me, like the follow-up question is, what did that experience show you about the person? It's that they wanted to know who I was, not just what I could do, and were genuinely interested in me, that they cared for me, and that we could have a friendship as well as like a working relationship.
okay. I guess on working on pastoral care, there's people that that we minister to, and we get to know like the inside, why are they hurting the way they do, and helping them out. And then you get to be a friend to them after like the sessions are over, and it's easier to become friends because you know that what they've been through.
what are some ways you've been made to feel valued?
$100 check. I guess for me, whenever somebody is able to share their story, and not just surfacely, but more in depth, I find that very honoring. I find that a trust is there, and I walk away feeling, wow, thank you. And I often feel privileged that they open up to me. And I often tell the people that it was important, and they feel good about it too, because most people don't think about it.
Right. And what are some of the ways that you communicate your trust and value for those that you're serving with?
I'm there for them. I open up a part of me, and share a part of me that maybe somebody else wouldn't know.
So you're like on the same level, like it's not just them sharing information that would make them vulnerable, but it's also me sharing something to them, so it doesn't feel awkward, I guess.
Yeah. And so you communicate that, or it's kind of like an assumed thing?
Communicate.
It has to be communicate.
Yeah. Because you can assume very wrong.
And what happens when you assume? She just kicked me, for those who can't see.
And so then in what ways do you bring these different ways that you affirm people outside of church into whatever area you're in? What are you?
Jeremy. Yes, you're right, Jeremy.
So in what ways do you bring these ways of affirming people, say like on team in church? How do you bring that into your, like, where you're working?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in a work environment is a lot harder because some people don't care, don't value you, think about themselves, have no boundaries. And so it's hard to confront someone that's like that. So I guess just having your voice at an even tone, doesn't go up like in anger, or just trying to communicate what you really think that they should be hearing. I don't know.
I'm not even talking about confirmation or confrontation. I'm talking about affirmation. Like, we're talking about how are we showing people we value them. So you're saying within the church setting, you're communicating like, I'm here for you. Let me share some of me as you share some of you.
Yeah.
And so do you do the same thing in your work environments? Or how do you go about communicating that you value the people on your team or your coworkers that you're peers with?
I haven't killed them.
Excellent.
Showing the same kind of honor to those that you work with that you have in church as well.
And it's just basic respect. If you don't have respect for somebody, you're not going to show appreciation to them. If you don't have respect for them, you're not going to listen to them. Even though they may not be showing respect to you, it is my job to show you what respect looks like. And this way, hopefully, that by me modeling it, that they will get a glimpse of the wave.
Oh, I thought your sentence wasn't finished.
No.
Sorry. So yeah, so you're respecting the people that you're with, meaning
Oh yeah.
you're listening to them. Yeah, you're honoring them. Yeah. So the next foundation stone we're talking about is communicating vision, and how important having a vision is, a shared vision. So when people see where they're being called and invited to go, they can then move into action. And so in order to sustain momentum and pursuing vision, there's a few elements that need to be in place, which is that the vision, the corporate vision, is regularly articulated. So it's reminding the team, this is where we're headed, this is what we're a part of, and encouraging a culture where this is discussed regularly between individuals and the teams themselves. And then number 2 is that personal vision is still connected to the larger corporate vision. So it doesn't have to be the same, but there's some links to it. Number 3 is that there's goal setting, strategies, plans, and assignments for reaching the vision, and they need to be developed corporately. So there's that buy-in between leaders and those that they're leading. And lastly, adjustments to goals, plans, or assignments are also made collaboratively. So throughout the year, we're constantly talking about the banner of the year, reminding people it's the year of bold breakthrough. What does that mean for you? We're talking about future church launches, ministries that are kind of not there yet, but we want to see. And so as you continue to hear this throughout the year, do you find yourself more captivated by the vision, or what's it like when you hear it again? What does it do for you?
Are you on a particular question, Danielle, or?
It's just a discussion question.
Danielle, how come you're harder to hear than Joyce and Steve?
It's hard to hear Joyce and Steve?
No, I can hear them great. I can barely hear you.
Oh. Well, I'll just try and talk louder.
Okay.
So I was just saying, like, our pastors are constantly, or not just our pastors, but our team, we talk about the banner over the year multiple times throughout the year, at different team meetings, at the end of church news. So we're trying to keep it front and center. And so do you find yourself more and more captivated by the vision as you hear it more? Like, do you connect to it? Why is that? What's your relationship to the vision?
Well, in anything, like in any successful business, they always have a mission statement. And usually the mission statement is throughout the corporation. And that is because they want people to remember it. They want people to catch that vision. So it is so important to keep reminding people constantly. That's why we have that agenda with bold breakthrough right on the front. People have it on their phones or their pages. It's bold breakthrough. So definitely it keeps you on track to keep reminding, yes, where is my bold breakthrough going to be? I've had some already, I'm going to look for more. So it's always that constant reminder.
I think it's a common thread that we all share. And as you get to connect with people and then listen to what they're going through, and you see a bold breakthrough that they've been through and you can celebrate together, I think it brings closeness, makes the team stronger when we're celebrating breakthroughs that people maybe have been praying for years. I think it just keeps us stronger together.
And it's a good thing to keep it in our conversation, in our dialogue. This way we can keep reminding people. So have you given thought what have been some of your breakthroughs this year? And how we can sum it up to be it being a bold breakthrough?
And in what way your personal vision tied to the vision for Resurgent?
Personally,
Well, being on the board of elders and also church health, it is seeing bold breakthrough for the church and for the people that we encounter, supporting the pastors in their endeavor to make Resurgent the best Resurgent that they can be,
mhm,
and seeing those little bold breakthroughs and seeing some of the big breakthroughs.
mhm.
Yeah. And just to go back, it's still tied to communicating vision and all of that, but what would you say you need from your leaders, either within the church or in your work environment? What do you need from your leaders to feel empowered to fulfill your role when it comes to vision?
I think encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm that type of person that I give it my all, and I like to know that maybe I'm affecting others. Yeah, encouragement, I'd say.
I see it from a different angle. It's more what I can do, because sometimes we are given tasks and we are so easily to say, yes, no problem, I'll go for it. But then you start to think about, okay, how am I going to do this? And sometimes people don't have, or I don't have the courage to go up to my leader and say, by the way, I know I said yes to that, but what is the best way to do it?
So you need
And
further, like, almost you want the method, is that it?
not necessarily the method to clarify and even to say, am I really the right person for this?
So like some coaching along the way.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So that brings us to our next foundation stone, which is team building. And so it says a team is a group of people working together to fulfill a common vision. And so members are empowered when they feel valued and trusted, when they collaborate well with each other, when they work in roles that are suited to their strengths. I came across a great quote this week that said, we should work in our strength zone, but outside of our comfort zone.
Wow.
Distinction. And I think it's us, like that's so Resurgent that we want people to be in your strength zone. Like what strengths do you have that you know are strong? And then how do we push you in that?
That's good.
Well, like he said, the smartest leader is to have people around them that are smarter than he is. And then he can direct those people to make him look good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That empowered teams draw the best out of each other, out of the leaders. They function well together and therefore accomplish more than individuals could if they weren't working so well together. And so honoring team leaders focus on, as we've said, communicating the vision, empowering team members by showing that they value them, communicating that value, and facilitating collaboration. So they're trying to create an environment where team members can be authentic, so bring the real you, that's one of our core values, vulnerable when needed, where it's a safe place to voice concerns, have confrontation, ask for feedback, where they can learn to appreciate and work with people whose strengths are different from their own. So it's like there's no insecurity in that my strength is so different from yours, but they're both valued, they're both needed, and they're gonna look different one to another.
But then to throw a monkey wrench into all this, you have to deal with people that are carrying around baggage. And sometimes they may look like that they're a team player, and will say all the right things, but they have a hidden agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And they will try in a very devious way to sidetrack the team to go in more in their direction.
Mm-hmm.
And where they will be saying yes, yes, yes to one thing, they will start to try and have another team within the team to support their thinking and their objectives.
Right. So yeah, definitely something to be on the lookout for.
So yeah, we can say all this is fine and dandy in our ideal world,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have to be aware of the other side of the spectrum also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, as a leader, being on the lookout for actually division.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because in the end, we're dealing with people, and usually hurt people,
Mm-hmm.
that haven't dealt with a lot of the issues.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's a good. And so, do you feel like your experience working on team has helped to bring out the best of you to the surface? Why or why not?
Yes, it's helped me grow, to be out of my comfort zone, to be who I am authentically in community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just growing a lot.
And has that
And for me, it's towards my ending time at Trinity, I was just someone that came in and walked out, and I really didn't spend a whole lot of time of getting to know people.
Wow.
And I guess it was a whole bunch of other things going on in me, but I just
Ignored them.
and so at Resurgent and being in the different positions that I've been in, I'm seeing myself more outgoing and looking towards the new people that are coming in and greeting them,
Mhm.
and so that's been a big change for me.
Wow. And for either of you, has that translated into your work life in any way?
In my work life, I have to be professional, so I have to be forced into that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I really didn't want to confront that mother, but I had to. And so you have to be diplomatic, you have to be respectful, where you want to say something else, but you bite your tongue and do what you have to do. I'm constantly meeting new social workers, different people all the time. And I have to remember, whatever I do, I represent the organization. Whatever I do outside, I represent Resurgent. So I gotta make sure that my walk and my talk are together.
How about you, Joyce?
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm only there 2 hours every day, and most of the time I'm just with one kid, so I don't really work with the staff like in a normal workplace.
What about even outside of your work, just in, who you encounter throughout the day? Because I would say your growth has been quite exponential these past few years, really coming into your own and
Yeah.
rediscovering who you are. And
Yeah.
so I'm just wondering how that's translated not only to your work, but to your everyday life.
I don't know. I see that too. I know I've grown. I know I've come out of my shyness, and like speaking in a group I would never have done that. I would have never, I didn't think I was valued enough to say my opinion. So, I mean, I've changed in that way. So even at work, I'll give my opinion, and I mean, it's valuing yourself as well. And then knowing that whether you said the wrong thing or not, it was the best thing that you could do, like there's no condemnation anymore.
Yeah.
And if I jump in about you, Joyce, say I'm very outgoing. I can go up to cashiers, start talking with them, and being jovial and all that. And Joyce was always timid and wouldn't do anything. Over the past year
Yeah,
or so,
I haven't
I see you more outgoing with those type of peoples. Sitting down with waiters or waitresses and say, "Oh, by the way, here's a card from the church that I go to," and that's something you would have never done before.
Wow. Yeah, and sometimes it takes another person to see those things
Yeah,
because it can be so familiar to you.
yeah, that's true.
So it's good. It's exciting. And so, what are some of the biggest personal challenges you've encountered to collaborate, we'll say?
The biggest things that we've done at Resurgent, you mean?
Yeah.
I would say setting up a parent room was a big thing for me. I enjoyed doing that. And then I wrote it down. Oh, and then in hospitality and platform, that was a big thing. Just being,
So talk about the different challenges in that team environment.
So what are the challenges for you before?
what are the challenges? Having the confidence to do that, getting over my shyness. Yeah.
Not taking things personally.
That too. Yeah.
Having a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
even actually at work, there's this one guy that is frustrated by the staff and constantly is like just holding on to it all the time. And I said, they're actually robbing you of your joy when you can't do really anything about it. So just let them go and concentrate on what makes you happy instead of always being down because of other people that, you can't do anything about. Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about one of the concepts mentioned was you can either be a leader that's a lid or a leader that's a launch pad. And so as a Resurgent culture carrier, have you ever attempted to be a launch pad in an environment that's maybe more lidded, we'll say?
There are a few people I like to put on a launch pad.
What?
Send them up to the moon.
Yeah, launch pad.
I always try to encourage people to move forward
Mm-hmm.
and take their ideas and refocus the ideas sometimes in questions. Well, what would that look like? And let them see it from different point of views. Not quelching their plan, but letting them try to expand on it in a more thoughtful manner. Looking beyond that maybe four walls. Let's go outside the box. How would that look like?
Yeah, I would definitely consider that you're in a launch pad position quite often within the job that you do, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
What would you, what kind of things are you thinking of in order to keep being a launch pad for people? What would be some things that you would recommend for someone being like, man, I want to grow in being more of a launch pad?
I would often look up different resources for them to read, different TED Talks, whatever that would instill new methods for them to think about, to broaden their horizons. Being a male, we often hear an idea and people think, man, you're very critical, but we want to try an idea to break it down to the lowest form to see what's not going to work in it, and then build it up again. So we have to look at it and give them the tools to do that in a positive manner.
But even I'm more asking like leader to leader. If they're saying, Steve, like you're such a launch pad in your work, you're constantly helping people, you know, reach greater heights. How can I do the same? What would be some advice that you would give them?
Clone me.
Real
We're
advice.
modest.
Thanks, Jeremy. Again, looking at them and asking them questions of what do you think it works for me? Like, why do you think it works for me? And what do you think that you could do to somewhat mimic or gain the same skill set that I have or mindset? I'm very proactive. I'm very positive. I'm very optimistic. And so I try to look at the positives. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, not half empty. And doing the treasure hunt of saying, okay, let's see where this goes. Let's find that nugget. Okay, you failed here. Let's see what we can do to find out why did it fail? What were you doing? What weren't you doing? How did you prepare yourself? Joe Blow is really irritating you. Why? Why is he rubbing you the wrong way? What is it in you that is striking that chord of discord? And going down those type of questions.
Joyce, do you have anything to add?
Hmm?
Do you have anything to add?
No, I don't.
That's okay. So the foundation story, did you have a chance to read through it?
Of course.
Yes.
We were at Starbucks doing it today.
Cute.
I felt like a student.
Carried my books home.
Yeah, well, as he should.
But she refused to go to the dance with me.
Up on her feet.
So it's talking about collaboration, talking about different approaches to a problem, different abilities. What were your kind of takeaways from the story here?
I guess this is where I thought of more of the hidden agendas.
Okay.
Because as you start to collaborate with people, you start to see the pull and push syndrome, and people who are trying to dominate the conversation. You know that you're going to have a little bit of issues to try to clarify things and to move forward and to climb up that hill.
Yeah, because if we're not all on the same page, collaboration really becomes impossible. And so to acknowledge that problems can be solved in many different ways, that there's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
No.
Also to the way we relate to our team members. They were talking about, you know, do you have quiet people on your team? Are you giving them time to process? Are you actually calling on them to share?
Mm-hmm.
And so being aware of the different types of people on your team, so that you're not even inadvertently, without meaning to, treating people all the same, expecting them to be a way that they're not, and also, navigating all the different personality styles.
I do remember one of my classes, the classroom was set up in a U shape, and one side of the U were all the, how could I say this, rambunctious students. More vocal, and the other side was very quiet and reserved. And I remember vividly how the teacher had his back towards the quiet people and only focusing on the people that were exchanging ideas and
Mm.
and the joking around and all that, and almost forgetting about the other side. I thought, wow, what a not a way to do a teamwork building.
Mhm. Yeah. I like the quote here by Albert Einstein, where he says, "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid."
Yeah.
Have either of you ever been misjudged in a similar way to that?
Do we have about 4 hours
I
to
know
begin?
you've shared some of your story with me. So if you had like a succinct, I don't know, way of saying something about that, what would you say?
I didn't hear that you were garbled.
Oh, I was saying, yeah, you have shared some of your story with me about like growing up, especially. What would be like if there was one thing you could say about like being misjudged and how you've dealt with it, a reflection you have, what would it be?
The number one is that the Lord brought me to a place where I could be healed. Secondly, was the people around me that spoke life into me and started to change the dialogue of my story to the point where I began to believe it. And I started to focus in more on my achievements rather than my failures. And learning to accept, well, yeah, it's okay to make a mistake. You learn from them. It's when you don't learn from them that you're somebody that needs more help than you're getting. And so, yeah, no, it's those type of areas that has really helped me to become the man I am today.
Yeah. How about you, Jen?
I'd say like when you're shy and reserved, people make assumptions that you're snobby or you're maybe not worth being a friend to. So, I mean, it's hard to cope with that, but yeah, I don't know.
What has that taught you about yourself?
Well, I see it a little bit in my granddaughter Caitlin. So I can teach her what I've learned not to be like that, to be bold enough and have value in yourself that other people, some people will accept you. It's the way the world is. Like some people accept you, some people don't. But to love yourself for who you are.
And have you ever yourself misjudged someone else in this way? Or in some way, I should say.
Yep.
Could you expound on that one?
No.
Is there something maybe that you could share that you've learned from that experience?
Yeah, like judging someone, I think give them a chance. Like you can't assume what they're like until you really get to know who they are. That would be fair.
And have either of you encountered this in a team dynamic?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes people don't get me.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they feel that maybe I'm overbearing or I'm too not serious enough. That I'm not taking them seriously because I'm making little jokes and all that. And that's some things that I found out through people telling me, which I was very thankful for, that they were able to say those things to me. Saying, yeah, okay. But once they get to know me, they begin to love me and worship me like most people.
There's a
Worship.
humility,
I know I'm modest, please.
humble.
Thank you. No, see, conceit's a fault, and I have no faults.
Well, thank you for sharing everything you have tonight. We'll just run through a couple summaries here of the different foundational stones we've looked at, and then we'll close off in prayer. So when it comes to getting to know people, people who feel known, trusted, and appreciated are motivated and empowered to offer their best in relationships and roles. So getting to know people, taking the time, being intentional with taking the time. You know, time doesn't just find itself. Productivity increases because leaders know their people, give them appropriate opportunities and responsibilities, and make sure they're thriving. So it's checking in on how your team is doing. Once you've given them a role, checking back in, how's it going? Can I offer you, like, do you need my help in some area? Can I coach you, as Steve was saying?
Mhm.
Communicating vision. People have a clear understanding of what success looks like. It's defined. There's goals. This brings focus, value, momentum, not just to daily tasks, but also short-term goals and long-term plans. So you know where you're going and you know how you're going to get there. And that might shift as you go because you try things, they don't work, they do work, you adjust.
Mhm.
So also then relationships, families, teams, and communities are preserved because personal vision and corporate vision are clear and connected. So lots of good things. Any questions, comments?
What is this?
Oh, the Strength Finder 2.0.
What is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a book by this guy, Tom Rath, or you can do, it's like another assessment of what your strengths are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's similar to a test called High Five, where it gives you like your 5 highest strengths. So this is his personally developed system for identifying what your strengths are, which can then help you, you know, as you're searching for jobs or volunteer positions, things like that. So it is a paid test, but if you buy his book, you get the test code for free. So it is something to explore if that's what you're wanting to kind of.
Oh, they tell you to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's called High Five, and you can search, there's a free test. And then if you want to pay for the full like PDF explanation, you can do that. But even just to get kind of the results, to give you language to some of your strengths can be helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I'll just pray and then we'll say goodnight. So, Father, I thank you for our discussion tonight. I thank you that we're continuing to grow in our knowledge of how to lead others well, how to lead ourselves better, and how to be aware of any blind spots that we might have when it comes to leadership. I pray especially that you'd help us appreciate what we don't understand about other personality types and behavior styles, and how we can help our teams to function more cooperatively, how we can communicate clearer, how we can share vision better. I just ask for wisdom and ability to empower others to be strong in areas that we can be launch pads and not lids to people that we come in contact with, Lord, not
Yes.
just those that we're leading, but those that we're friends with, God, that we would be speaking life to those around us. I pray that you would help us just continue to practice confrontation, to just work that muscle, that if there's still any anxiety surrounding this, that you would, replace it with your peace, and you would give us a confidence to have these conversations and just get better and better at them because of the outcome that's there on the other side of those conversations. So I thank you again for this time. I pray that you would be with us in our week, just continuing to show us how we can continue to grow, and also just to have grace for ourselves in the learning process. And I pray these things in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And
You're welcome.
we will see you next week.
Same time, same station.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye, Jeremy.
Bye.
Bye.